part 2, and we're looking at the orientation to the human body in our chapter 1 here. And we just did some discussion of what is life based on cellular characteristics of growth, the ability to divide, metabolize, be sensitive, etc. We just discussed also survival needs, which have to do with nutrients, and the most important of which is oxygen. And I have a handout for you, which I'm making available. And you should take a look here at what I have listed here. You can see across the top of the page that I have essential nutrients for cellular and for human life. And I've noted that an essential in the sense that nutrients represent substrates that can be used in the synthesis of tissues and functional chemicals. That is to say, there's biosynthetic pathways, and that they are essential in the sense that they cannot be made interchangeably within the body from other substrates. Essential means that we have something that must be in the diet. You have to get it from outside the body. Okay, so I'll have some things to say about endogeny and exogeny. I want you to also be aware of the fact that there is what I would refer to as endogeny. Endogeny is that which goes on inside the body. Exogeny is that which we add to the body from the outside. Right? We can add food from the outside, water, oxygen in the form of air that we breathe. We can add lots of other things. We can add, pizza. We can do all kinds of drug-related things, pharmaceuticals, etc. Another thing that we add to our body is regulation in terms of synchronicity, balance, and so on. We get to bed on time, we get up on time, we add exercise. There's practices. So I want you to be aware of endogeny and exogeny. Here we have the essential nutrients of the cell. So I'm taking this one cell at a time. We are a high-rise condominium of 40 to 50 trillion cells. That's a lot of kids. There's probably 300 or more tissue types, each of which have their own growth factor from the liver, in addition to the growth hormone from the brain. And so we're a complex system. But from cellular life itself, we have essentials. So let's take a look at what each cell needs. Each cell needs oxygen. Number 1, I have 7 things listed here. Number 2, probably in the order of importance, is water. Number 3 is glucose as a general category from the carbohydrate family of these. This is the interchangeable energy unit right here, from which we get 38 ATPs from every molecule of glucose. And then we have fat. What do we need in the way of essential fats? Well, there's only 2 that are essential, and they are fatty acids, not triglycerides. So there are no essential triglycerides. There are triglycerides that have fatty acids. There are also membranes. Remember that membrane is what is then the outside perimeter of every cell. We'll take a look at that pretty soon. But membranes are made from phospholipids, and the lipid aspect is a fatty acid, and it should be omega-3 fatty acid. Let me point that out right here. Omega-3 is actually the most important, and it should be equal to the amount of omega-6, which is to say a 1-to-1 ratio, or it could be greater. For instance, salmon have something in the vicinity of a 20 or 21 or 22 ratio. 22 fatty acids, omega-3 fatty acids to 1 omega-6. The incredible thing is that salmon do not know how to make omega-3. They have no gene for it, no more than we do. It's essential for salmon. So how on earth do they get 20 times as much omega-3 in their diet? They eat up the system from algae and seaweed. So basically seaweed has the same ratio. And how is it that seaweed has fat in it? How is it that spinach is the next highest heavy hitter? How does spinach leaves have fat? You know that it has fat because it has membrane, phospholipids. And that's the only place on Earth, on this pretty little Earth planet, where omega-3 is made. It's made in the place that has green leaves. Look at green leaves, that's omega-3. No other species on Earth can do it, except for plants. So you're going to have to go to plants for your omega-3 fatty acids. 1/3 of your brain, approximately by weight, is omega-3. You like the brain? Eat omega-3. I will have an entire handout for you on omega-3 fatty acids. I'm being very forthright here in this particular section because there's so much, how shall I say, nearly, how would I say, religious paradigm and partisanship in the manner of food. Let's set aside what you like to eat or what you think is right to eat and actually look at the science of essential nutrients. And then you can figure it out from there. If your food has omega-3, you're on the right track. If it has 8 essential amino acids out of the 20 that are available, you're on the right track. Who are the heavy hitters for that? We'll look those up. But beef isn't one of them. Beef is an incomplete protein, and I can show that to you on the spectrum and on the nutritional calculator that I give you. Pretty good if it's a fish, actually, or if it's fowl. Pretty good if it happens to be broccoli. Not so good. Red meat has its limitations. Okay, then we have vitamins and minerals as coenzymes of enzyme pathways, biosynthetic pathways. And we also have coenzymes as minerals as well as constituent parts of the structure itself. Right, so we make our gingerbread house, as it were, which is the bony structure out of calcium and a few other mineral types. But then we also have coenzymes, like magnesium is a coenzyme in the synthesis of collagen. So we'll be needing that along with things like vitamins A through the alphabet all the way to K. And we'll look at those individually as well. We have handouts for nutrient densities from all of these areas here. Okay, so, and I refer you to that. I can give you that nutrient density handout as well as the omega-3 handout that lists common foods where we're going to be finding everything. Now, it turns out that we're 40 to 50 trillion cells. We're not just one cell or a few. We're a lot of them. And so because we're a high-rise condominium, we have some other considerations common to high-rise condominiums, which is, how shall I say, pressure and flow of our plumbing system and also movement through the whole system. We have meals on wheels. We have ways of moving things around through the digestive system. The meals on wheels part is the vascular system that we'll be taking a look at in great detail. Okay, so I have fiber listed here. Soluble fiber is an absolute necessity because we have flora. Flora lives on fiber. Soluble fiber, not insoluble fiber. So these are two kinds of, how shall I say, you could say woody fibers, as it were, a cellulose-type fiber. So in one of these we have soluble fiber, which also contributes into important things called flatulence. But at any rate, I will refer you to some UCTV discussions on the need for fiber. I think you'll find them fascinating. University of California TV has 90-minute videos of a lot of their lectures, not all of them. But it's very helpful to make references from time to time to, have the real masters of the science give us the word directly from the mouth. Insoluble fiber, what's that for? It's in order to improve peristaltic movement of the digested foods through the digestive tract. Right, so in addition to feeding our flora with the soluble fiber, we would like to actually have things move in a broom-like activity manner. We don't want to have things get hung up in the large intestine. In addition to that, we need an energetic output, and it's recommended that we get somewhere in the vicinity of between 2,100 or 2,200 actually for women, 2,400 calories of exercise per week. Per male, you divide by 7, that's about 300 calories a day, which is a 1 hour walk. Okay, so we'll be having some discussion of that, and you can read the rest of this. Also, we have to, how shall I say, sensitize our insulin and become sensitive to insulin and to glucose in our diet. Otherwise, we'll have diabetes. So I have a handout that addresses that as well. And then we'll go on to the next part here in a second.